It's your life. You are the CEO of your life. I strongly recommend that when you're prioritizing things, it's things that light you up, it's things that energize you, because then you're going to radiate that to your kids, to your family, to your friends, and to your coworkers. And so it is defining what success feels like to you, not what you think it is. Really get in the heart and figure that out. And again, allow yourself to go anywhere and everywhere and be honest about it.
Hey, Mama. Welcome to the Working Moms Playbook, the go-to podcast for moms balancing careers and babies. I'm your host, Antonia DePace, former editor, current marketing maven, and mom of one. Each week, we're breaking down the systems, mindsets, and support every working mom needs to thrive, whether it be at work, at home, or everywhere in between. So let's get into it. Welcome back, everybody, to the Working Moms Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Antonia DePace. We have spent the past decade, at least, defining what success looks like. I feel like I have. But then we have babies and it all changes. And often for most of us, this can be a very hard adjustment. But the more we do it, the better it will be. So today I am chatting with Carrie Fabris, who is the founder of Career Frame, which is a Dallas-based leadership development and executive coaching firm, to discuss the importance of redefining success as a working mom and how really embracing that can help to inspire healthier and more human workplaces. In general, Carrie has over 20 years of corporate experience, 15 plus of which were spent in leadership roles at companies like Google and Travelocity and so many more. She's also the author of All In, the Working Mom's Unapologetic Quest for a Juicy Life, which we will touch on, of course, during this episode, where she shares her personal journey of navigating corporate ambition, entrepreneurship, and motherhood without compromise. So welcome, Carrie. I'm so excited to have you on.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me.
My gosh, of course. This has been a long time coming. You guys, life has been lifing. We were just talking about this prior to hitting record. The past few months has been crazy, as I'm sure it has been for everybody. I know I just did this little intro, but I'd love, Carrie, for you to start out with telling us a little bit more about your professional background, about motherhood, and kind of what got you to where you are today.
I'll start with that. What got me to where I am today is passion, truly. Not to sound cliche, but that was really what started this whole journey. As you said, I was in corporate for 20 years. I've been doing Career Frame for 10.
Mm-hmm.
So 30 years of a career, 25 total now of leadership experience, and all while wanting to be a fierce mama bear. So I have a 13-year-old daughter, a 15-year-old son, very much want to be present in their lives. And I also love having a career that I love. So it's really been a journey of finding out how to do both.
Yeah.
I have a lot of people ask me, what does all in mean to you? You have a book name, it's called All In. What does that mean? And I'm like, it's really what it means to you. I'm not here to compare. I'm not here to encourage comparison. It's more
Mm-hmm.
of, each of us finding our way as moms, what lights us up with our families, what lights us up with our jobs and careers, and finding a way to do it all. So
Yeah.
it was a passion pivot 10 years ago when I decided to do this. I loved being in leadership and corporate, and I missed it when I stepped out for a hot minute to be a full-time mom. I did
Yeah.
not last being a full-time mom. I went from having this team of 30 people that listened to me and wanted my advice and my thought leadership to two that never listened at all. And it was very humbling. And I was like, you know what? I really miss that professional interaction. So I worked my way back here, built this business, and it's been an awesome ride.
That's amazing. I so completely relate to that. I mean, my prior experience was fully in the magazine industry as an editor. And after I had my son, I kind of realized that the two don't necessarily mesh very well right away. And I miss it. It's really hard because you do spend so much time building that career and you have this definition of success. And then all of a sudden there's another competing factor of wanting to be a very present and available and loving mother. And unfortunately, in today's society, it's very hard to
It can
put the
be.
two
Yeah.
together. Yeah, it can be.
Yeah. And,
So,
and, and a lot of that is, I think that we have to stand guard at the door to our lives when it comes
Yep.
to our careers because there are many, many, many of us that we feel like we get stuck. Well, I've got to have this job because I need the paycheck, I need the benefits, which all the comments, and I lovingly say excuses. And so it's about making sure that we get in the right career so we are lit up by both because then we're not going to feel so pulled. I think a lot of moms start to get too overwhelmed when they really want to be present for their kids that they don't have the support at work. They don't have that leader that understands it's a balance. And it's really about finding that space where you can have the balance of both.
Yeah, and it can often make you feel so inadequate on top of it all.
Can, yeah.
So then,
It's hard to be a woman, Antonia. It's
oh
hard.
my gosh. Every chapter of womanhood does not get easier.
Yes.
As soon
Yes,
as you
that's
think
true.
you have a handle on it, something else happens and then new chapter starts and
That's right.
it's a whole new challenge and mountain to overcome. How would you define success today, like in your world, compared or I guess in general to any mom's world, right? Like success to a woman before becoming a mom and then success afterwards. Like what is that healthy difference in definition?
I do think that all of us are going to have our own definition of that. It's kind of similar to we're all going to have our definition of what all in is. So I feel that way about success as well. I don't know that I am here to tell you what success looks like for you. As an example, for me, I want to make sure that I am getting my 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. I want to make sure that that I am making time to take care of myself by working out, eating healthy, doing all of the non negotiables. I want to make sure that when I come and sit at my desk, I open up my calendar and I'm not like, oh, God, like, I don't wanna do this day. I wanna look at my calendar and be like, "Sweet, I'm talking to this person,
Mhm.
I'm talking to this person, I'm on Antonio's podcast, like, what a great day."
Yeah.
That is success for me,
Mhm.
and then being energized with the work that I do, and then still having the time to be mom and be present. If success for me is not being at dinner with my kids and feeling like I've gotta keep paying attention to my phone. So, again, that's what works for Carrie. So I think that each
Yeah.
of us has to go through almost do a friction audit. What are the things that are causing the friction? How do I remove those? And what are the non-negotiables and how do I keep those and craft our own version of success?
Yeah.
Because I
It's
think that it
almost a
isn't
check-in.
I think it's an individual definition. It's but
Yeah.
at its core, it's what lights us up, what energizes us, what allows us to have the stress recovery that we need. Stress is never the problem. The lack of stress recovery is the problem. And just those few things that we need to make sure that we're fitting in, basically.
Yeah. So then let's think of the mom who is going through that like change, right? She just had maybe her first child.
Mm.
She's just starting to balance the wonderful not so much of an equilibrium between career and motherhood. And what are like those steps, those first steps that you would really recommend for her to take to help her to redefine what that success really looks like for her so that she can get to a point of minimizing that friction and really feeling more empowered about how she's defining the space?
So to all of us who are having our first child, okay, so I always lovingly chuckle when someone who is pregnant and they have not birthed this child yet and they try to go into all this planning. And I'm like, oh, sweet thing. The plan you were so beautifully crafting is probably going to just be thrown out the window because none of us are prepared for what changes when we birth a human. It is indescribable. You cannot explain it until you've gone through it. So when we have that child and we are working, no matter what, priorities will change. So it is allowing your space. A lot of times we women do not allow ourselves to feel certain ways and to do certain things and to think certain things and to say certain things. And yet we're 100% responsible for all of that. And so it is allowing yourself to prioritize and allowing space for the priorities to have changed. And that's okay. No guilt. There's no guilt allowed here. And so you go through these new priorities and then you allow yourself to make some tweaks and changes if you need to. So, for example, when I had my son, Lucas, I was leading a North America team and I was traveling a ton. Well, now I had this precious baby boy, and I remember so vividly. I even remember the onesie he was wearing, and he's 15 now, where I literally laid him down inside my suitcase. I just was like, "So, where am I going to fit you in? Like, how do I take you on this business trip?" Right. And it was like a moment as a mom where I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh, like, I'm about to get on a plane, and, like, go away from you for work when, like, you are my focus now." And so what I ended up doing with that decision, and this is just an example, I'm not suggesting that other people do this. We all have to do what works for us. But
Right.
I went to my boss and I said, well, let me back up. My West Coast director ended up resigning. And so I went to my boss and I was like, I think I would like to backfill him with me. And so I ended up stepping down from director of all of North America into the West Coast role. So my
Okay.
direct reports became my direct peers. I went from being the leader of the team of 30 to being one of the next level down leaders of 7. And it was the best
Wow.
decision. It was the best decision because I
Yeah.
could focus on this team, still bring my expertise to the company, and not be traveling as much. So now I was more present for my son. So it's just, you got to allow yourself to review the priorities, know that they have likely changed, and tweak a little bit as you go.
As you made that change, like for career pre-motherhood Carrie, because like, of course, we all have that version of ourselves, like
Yeah.
still in our heads and still in
Yeah.
our hearts. What was that decision like for you? Obviously, mom Carrie was jazz, right? Like you get to like find that combination of the two.
Yeah.
But what was it like for career Carrie?
So for a minute, it was tough because the gossip mill started and it was, ooh, Carrie got demoted. And so I pulled a couple people aside on the team. I said, just so we're clear, this was my decision. I did not get demoted. Not that it matters if I did, and not that it's any of your business. I am choosing to still be present with my career and be a more present mom. And I don't need to explain myself to you. I definitely don't need to apologize for it. This is my business. But I am also someone who has zero tolerance for gossip. So in that particular case, when I saw that, I just squashed it. So that kind of sucked.
Yeah.
And just knowing that people were talking, but then you just, you get thick skin, you're like, whatever. So therefore, career wise, after we got through that little bumpy gossip mill, it was actually great because I was not focused on the entire country. I was focused on one region. So I was able to get more focused, build stronger relationships with fewer companies versus being the director and needing to be in every single region of the country. So it helped me get more focused and be more present, both professionally and personally.
Good. And I mean,
Yeah.
you kind of touched on this a little bit with like the gossip mill and everyone's wheels start to spin and it can never just be the real
Happy for you,
reason.
Carrie. Great. Look at you being a
Right.
mom, you know?
Right. Right. God forbid.
You gotta have the drama
It plays into those big societal expectations that are placed on working mothers to quote unquote have it all. And
and
I don't
do it
know,
all.
and do it all. Can you speak a
Mhm.
little bit more on that?
Yeah, I have kind of mixed emotions about that, to be honest. I think that and I apologize for sounding repetitive, but I think that each one of us has to define what doing it all and having it all means.
Yeah.
There's so many people that compare themselves to how the mom looks on Facebook or Instagram and all the things that her makeup is perfect, every hair is in place, her outfit is incredible, she has zero spit up on it. How is that even possible? She's got this amazing career. Everything is just so perfect. It is not. It is not even
Yeah.
remotely so perfect. So
Yeah.
I just want to remind people to not get into that game of comparison and just focus inward on what matters to you and what's important to you, what lights you up, and what are your non-negotiables and what will you not deal with. And
Yeah.
so that's just it's such a personal journey.
Yeah. And part of it too is like it's celebrity culture, right? Like that if you're like very into that and into pop culture, like a lot of these societal norms, they just plaster them across the screen when it comes to moms, right? Like 3 months postpartum has six-pack abs, like, there's, like, that side of it, and and there's, like but then there's,
Oh gosh.
it's, like, winning, quote, unquote, "winning," right? For the
Yeah.
listeners who are listening and not watching, it's, like, air quotes here, but then there's also, like, the other side with, like, the more recent news, at least at the time of us recording this, like, with Millie Bobby Brown, and I don't know if you've seen that, but it's there's a lot of, like, scrutiny going on against the husband, but then you, like, go into it, and, I mean, there's pictures where they're like, "She looks frazzled." Where they're like, "Millie's looking a little frazzled, like, it's because the husband doesn't help," and I'm, like, looking at the picture, and I'm just like, "No, honey, like, that's just, like, motherhood, like, when it's
Yeah.
not glammed out, like."
Totally, totally. Well, and that's the thing too, and I might be showing my age a little bit here, but that's to me, it just becomes noise.
And
You
yeah,
know,
it
it's just like
is.
the more we're on social media, it just there's so much noise, and there are awesome benefits to social, and my Instagram feed absolutely knows that I just want dogs and laughing babies and funny things that make me
Yeah.
laugh. I don't
Yep.
want politics, I don't want drama, I don't want anything. I just want
Mhm.
to laugh. The minute it starts turning gossipy, dramatic, negative, things like that, I'm like, no wonder mental health is such an issue in our country now, right? And so it's
Yeah.
again, stand guard at the door to your mind and try not to get pulled in by that because it's not real.
Yeah.
It is noise. And then that
Mhm.
keeps us comparing ourselves. And then that takes us further away from just owning who we are authentically. And again, there's a reason unapologetic is on the cover of my book. It is because, just I'm not apologizing to anybody for showing up how I'm showing up, for when I'm messy and sloppy and, ugly crying, and when I'm celebrating and miss glam. Like I'm not apologizing to anyone. This is me
Yeah.
doing me.
Yeah. You brought up your book, so why don't we touch on that a little? What inspired you to write it? Who it's really for?
Yeah. It's definitely for the working mom.
Yeah.
And hence the subtitle. I didn't realize I had the book in me. I did not set out to be an author. I have 2 books actually. I have a children's book that I wrote for my son, and that came out in 2019, and that was just a passion project for him. I went through a significant, self-discovery journey in 2019, that absolutely changed my life, shifted my business, and that is pretty much all of part 2 of this book. So when I look back, again, it came out in 2022, kind of starts it's a memoir with some guidance is how I would describe it. At the end of every chapter, it's giving you recommendations of how you can try to have a juicy life. And when I say juicy life, I mean elevated life, lively, full, loving, all of those things. And I didn't know that it was in me. It was kind of pulled out of me from someone. And then once she's kind of tugged, it just kept coming. And I wrote it very intuitively. It is very raw and very vulnerable and, putting everything out for the world to see. And if it impacts them and it encourages them to do something different for themselves that helps them, then it's a win. It's a win for me. So yeah, so it's just gives you the person some different perspectives of someone who really wanted to have a career, wanted to be mom, was scared to death, tell all the negative talk track, all the lack mindset, all the frozen by fear, everything, and then having the courage to go through that pain in order to get what was waiting. And of course, what was waiting is what everyone told me would be waiting. And of course, I couldn't see it until I went through it and then was like, oh, there it is. One of the big things was I ended up, Tony Robbins just kind of fell in my lap, not literally, but I would have never thought that I would have gone to anything Tony Robbins. And I went to one of his UPW events and I got a ticket, and it absolutely changed my life. And then I went to his Date with Destiny conference, and at that conference, I had a major breakthrough. And then I also wrote down my 1 year, my 3 year, my 5 year goal. And my
Oh,
5 year
wow.
goal, I was like, I'm just gonna go BHAG. I'm just gonna big, hairy, audacious goal. This is so not even realistic. So what the hell? I hit that goal in the first year. I hit my
My God.
5-year goal with the business in that first year because I do believe that when we get on the right soul path, the universe will show up and conspire to give us everything that we want. And the longer we avoid that, we will not. It was a pretty high six-figure number.
Yeah.
It was a
Hey.
pretty high six-figure number that again at the time just felt ridiculous, and
Yeah.
I hit that and then I surpassed it, you know? I mean, it's just what again, when you're in the right role, and I'm also a Gallup Clifton strengths coach, and so I'm very big about playing to your strengths, being in your natural strength zone, what energizes you. And when you are frustrated, you're likely not in your strength zone and you're going to be working harder. So it is about getting in that zone of your zone of genius and the things that light you up and the things that are easy and fun. And so you're like, wow, where'd the day go? And so many of us feel stuck. We're just doing something that's not even remotely lighting us up. So
Yeah.
all of this is in the book. It's an easy read, and I wrote it just like I talk. I'm no BS, and just put it out there for everyone to see. And again, if someone has an aha from it and takes some action to make their lives better, then that's a huge win for me.
Yeah. You have a little listener gift for us, right? With your book.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah. So, for all of us listening, you will find in the show notes, but there will be a link where you can read the first two chapters of Carrie's book for free. And I'm sure you're going to be extremely hungry to read the rest of it. So, we will also put the link in there where you can actually buy the book. But the first two chapters to start you off on your journey will be available in the show notes as well, so that we can just all get closer on that path of feeling
Going
happy
all
and
all in on you.
energized.
Yeah.
Yeah, go all in. So you have older kids now. You took a step down to take a step up in life, right? Um, what would you say to the women who really fear slowing down,
Mm,
whether it means taking that step back to take a step up? A lot of us feel like that will derail our careers,
mhm.
right, in the long run. So what would you say to that woman?
So, I would say be mindful of the story you're telling yourself, first of all. Then I would say the cliche of you do need to slow down to speed up. So many of us, we forget to pause, and there's so much power in the pause. Um, I also like to think that as long as we are trusting, and this is a big thing that a lot of people struggle with, and that is trusting that you are going to be exactly where you're supposed to be at all times. Tony Robbins says, where focus goes, energy flows. It's the law of attraction. What you're focusing on is what you will get back. If you're only focused on fear and stuckness, you do not be surprised that nothing changes. If you are focused on, I'm going to take this jump because I'm actually super excited to see where I fly to versus where I fall to, you're going to fly. And so we have to watch our mindsets and really show up for the future that we want to have. And here's the thing too, I remind myself of this too all the time. I'm like, as long as I wake up tomorrow morning, I could pivot at any time. I could completely start over at any time. The only person who has to make that decision is me. There's a lot of perfectionism out there. Perfectionism just says you're never going to be satisfied.
Yeah.
The art of perfectionism is actually putting something out to the world, getting feedback, and then perfecting it. So if we're always waiting for the most perfect time to do something, you will stay waiting. There's never a perfect time. So we've got to do something, take that leap, and see what happens. And again, when you are leaping in the right direction, then you are going to fly. You're not going to fall. You know, I talk about this in the book. There's a very pivotal scene that I write about when it was COVID. I mean, I stepped out of the business. Well, I kept a toe in the business for 2 years on this 10-year journey, and I went back to corporate for 2 years. And that's when I did the Tony Robbins work. That's when I did all of my self development deep dive, and that's when it was crystal clear that this is where I was supposed to be, not in corporate. And so worked my way to get back here. So I took the leap back into career frame, and then COVID hit and the world shut down and I had no clients. And I was like, huh, is that really the test you want to give me, universe? You could have come with like a softer test, a smaller test. You had to just shut the world down, literally.
Oh my god.
Um, but I kept going. I was like, no, I'm going to keep going. This is a test. And I like, how serious am I about this?
Yeah.
And so we took our family up to we had a house in New Mexico at the time. So we took our family up there for a week, which turned into 3 weeks. Very sweet, amazing time. And then all of a sudden I had to be a school teacher. Because everybody, all the kids,
Yeah.
like school shut down, and you got to get your kids on Google Meet and all the things. And I just want to launch this business and or relaunch this business, I should say. And so I actually went out on our back deck and I put my AirPods in and I put on "Let's Go" by Neo and Calvin Harris, and I'm wearing my Firewalker t-shirt from Tony, and I'm just putting my arms up to the sky, like, what the hell is happening? Like, what is happening? And
Like,
then I
what are you trying to tell me?
yeah, and then I just listened to the lyrics of this song. It's not about where you've been, it's about what you're doing. I'm messing up the lyrics, but anyway, the lyrics were perfect. And it was like I just felt fear just circling, circling, circling. And then I was like, I get what you're trying to do. You're actually just getting louder because you're trying to get my attention. And so the minute I started just going, I see you, I feel you, I hear you, I'm not slowing down. Fear was like, thank God, now I can fly away. And it shifted my relationship with fear because I didn't let it make me just feel like a crumbled ball in the corner, rocking back and forth, sucking my thumb. It was, no, we're going to do this. So I was just I would just advise to people to take that leap because fear will continue to get louder until you do something about the thing. And the minute you do something about the thing, fear's gonna go away. I mean, the story so many of us tell ourselves is that it is worst case scenario. Well, if I jump, I'm gonna fall. How do you know? I don't know. So but you're certain. I am certain. Really? But are you? Well, no. I mean, it's just like just watching the
Yeah.
battle, the internal battle. So
Yeah.
we've got to give ourselves more credit than we do and listen to our intuition, listen to our guts because it's never wrong. It's the brain that gets in the way. Bless it. It gets in the way and it just wants to be a total jerk and try to keep us safe.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And the more that we really put this into practice and the more of us who redefine success and really embrace it and show up to our workplaces in the new way that we can, that of course helps to create healthier workplaces down the line because then they're the old societal norms start to get squashed and
mhm.
then it leads to potential of a more welcoming space for working moms where we can openly embrace both and not feel like we are being set back by one or the other in whichever area it is.
Yeah, and I would say just in general, and this is something that I just recently, and I will share with your audience, I am almost 52 and
No, you are not.
I am. The lighting on this thing is terrible too. I'm like, I need a tan. And so I'm almost 52 and I literally, we're talking within months, just figured this out.
Okay.
And I have done so much investment in myself, so much self development, so much seeking, all the things. And I will continue to, but I just figured this out. And I hope that some people that are listening, or I hope all of your listeners are like, well, duh, Carrie, I know that already. I bet there's some out there that don't, but I hope there are some that say. And that is we absolutely must stop thinking our way through everything and we have to feel our way through everything. And I just had this recent shift from a retreat that I went to and it was brain heart coherence and it was like, oh my gosh, it was like I was introducing them for the first time. Now they're BFFs inside, my brain and my heart are like, what's up? High five. Like they want to be on the same page now, whereas for 4 decades they were not. And when we feel how we feel about something versus thinking about what we feel about something, you get a completely different outcome. And so anything that is related to how you want to be present as a mom, what you want to do about your role, your job, your career, bring the why into both of these, and how does that feel? And that's where the truth is. The truth is always gonna be in our heart and our guts, and they're kinda connected. Because if you think about it from a sorry, I'm gonna go woo for a second, but if you think about your chakras, right? Your solar plexus is the 3rd chakra, your heart's the 4th. They're right there. Then you have to go 5, 6, 7 up to the brain. So the heart and the gut are so much closer, and they're never wrong. They're never wrong. The brain, God love it, is almost always wrong because it's just going through a filter of safety. So, for all the moms out there that are strategic thinkers and always in their brain, you know who you are, and you're hearing the voice constantly. You got to shut that voice off and you got to get quiet and you got to take that pause and go, how do I feel about this? And then you got to allow yourself to be honest about the answer. That is the compass. That is how I now am filtering things. My business is probably going to change because of it. It's an alignment journey, let's just say, adventure of making sure like this feels great. Not, oh, I think I got to do this because I need the money and then what are people going to be talking about? What are they going to say about me? And then your ego pops up. Like none of that matters. It's how do I feel about this? Because that's also with law of attraction. What you feel is really what you're radiating out to the universe, to God, to source, to whatever your being is that you believe in. And that's what it's going to give back to you. So when you come at it from a place of feeling and truth, it's going to match that. If you come at it from analytical analysis paralysis, it's going to match that. So just something to think about. And again, I'm just figuring this out myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But man, has it been powerful.
Well, now you're blessing us with all of this wisdom that you started to figure out. Now I get to know this at the ripe age of 31. So I'm going to have to really work on my
There
mindset
you
so that I
go.
can
There
get
you
to where
go.
I need to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't
And
wait
it's
till you're almost 52 to figure it out like I did.
that's the benefit. And everybody listening gets to learn from you too, no matter the age, of course. As we continue to embrace that and as we start to work on really listening to our hearts and really listening to our guts, as we all know, I mean, that intuition is so, so strong. Of course, it also bellows down to the leaders who we're working for, right?
Yep. Yep.
So, on the opposite end of the spectrum, as we're all figuring this out on our ends, how can leaders better support working moms without lowering expectations completely?
I think that absolutely depends on the leader.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there sure, could there be a playbook on that? Absolutely. But, I would imagine that people in your audience have heard people do not leave their companies, they leave their leader.
Yep.
It's why I got into what I'm in and what I do is leadership development and executive coaching because a lot of times I'm like, I'm sitting here listening to you and you're telling me all the things that are wrong with your people. And I'm sitting here going, do you know what's wrong with you? Right? Do you know what you're contributing to this? And so how I would answer this is a couple different ways. One is the Gen X response, which is go work for a different leader. That sounds
Yeah.
easy. Sure. Right.
Not in
And then people,
today's job market.
yeah, and then people are like, "You're hilarious, Carrie." So that's what the Gen X in me wants to say.
Yeah.
A more thoughtful answer is it is finding a way to communicate effectively with that leader. Okay. So humans, we are all about ourselves. No matter how empathetic we are, how giving, how generous, at the end of the day, we love talking about ourselves. It's all about me, myself, and I. And so one of the things that I coach people on is, I mean, I got my degree in communication. My number one strength is communication, and communication is key, and it is everything, and it is how you deliver something to somebody. But you've got to take it. You got to take a minute to read this person and go, how can I speak in this person's language to actually get them to do what I would like them to do? Because again, it's all about me. So how can I help you help me? It's taking a few seconds to think about that, to feel about that, prepare, and then deliver it. And so when you have a leader who is all about them, you got to talk in their language in order to help yourself.
Okay.
And then if you have a leader who does have compassion, first of all, congratulations, that's amazing. Um, then same thing. You're still communicating with them in a way that it lands for them, but you're going to probably get a different response because they're going to see you and they're going to hear you and they're going to be more compassionate. So there is not a one size fits all because every leader is different. I would
Yeah.
say focus on what you can control, and what you can control is what you say, do, think, feel. And so how you show up and what you are portraying to that leader is how you can set yourself up for success to hopefully get the response you're looking for. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And it also influences how they're going to hopefully lead down the line. I mean, it influences more than for all the future moms. It's also
Okay.
paving that path for future women and future moms who are going to come on, and you want to make that change because you don't want everybody to have to experience exactly what you
Yeah.
did.
And I would just say that, sometimes, so for those of us that have a leader that we really cannot stand, okay, it's hard to have compassion for somebody you don't like. Okay. Um, but it's also next level in business sophistication and professional sophistication, let's just say. So if you have a leader that you're like, this guy, I can't stand him, whatever, for a second, and we're talking to a bunch of moms here, okay? For a second, go motherly on him in your head, not actually out of your mouth, okay? But in your head. And what I mean by this is why do you think or what do you feel are the reasons that this guy is showing up the way he is? And I didn't mean to go straight to a man being the bad leader. That just kind of what that's what happened. But what do I think might be contributing to why he shows up this way? Maybe he's under some kind of pressure that I don't understand. Maybe he has a really bad home life and he's waking up grumpy and like go into a moment of compassion so you can then start to again read the person and try to figure out how can I talk to this person in a way that gets through to where they will be a better leader to me and to others, that they won't be so hard. They won't be so introverted and not communicative and things like that. Because then there's a whole other side of everybody's got their own personality and their own experiences and their own childhood and all the things that everyone's bringing to this melting pot called work.
Yeah.
So you got to factor that in
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, for sure. For the working mom who is like listening today, feels super overwhelmed about trying to do it all, what do you want her to remember about success in this specific season of life?
Yeah. Like I said, it's allowing yourself to feel what's important and be unapologetic about it. It's your life. You are the CEO of your life. I strongly recommend that when you're prioritizing things, it's things that light you up, it's things that energize you, because then you're going to radiate that to your kids, to your family, to your friends, and to your coworkers. And so it is defining what success feels like to you, not what you think it is. Really get in the heart and figure that out. And again, allow yourself to go anywhere and everywhere and be honest about it.
My gosh. Well, I've enjoyed having you on so much. I mean,
Thank
that,
you. Thanks for having me.
of course, I mean, ending it on that note, it's just a lot of inner reflection, I think, needs to be taken during all these different chapters and changes. And it can be really hard, especially if you love your career, but then you love your kids and you're really torn into two. So I think this episode is so important for all of us to really like this is your sign, everybody. Like, let's do some self-reflection, right? Let's figure
Yes.
out what lights us up. Even if you think you are at a job or in a career that lights you up, like do it anyway, because maybe it's not lighting you up as much as you think it actually is, right? And like I think another like pointer from this conversation is like don't be afraid to take chances. Like if you think that there's something that you are going to love that's going to light you up and you want to make that into your career, like push all of the naysayers in your mind away. It doesn't matter if you didn't go to school for it right away. It doesn't matter how much time you wasted in your other job. It's about happiness, and life is short. Um,
Absolutely.
Carrie, for those who want to continue following along on your journey,
Yeah.
where can they find you?
Yeah, so I am on Instagram. You can find me at CD Fabris, and it is not my work Instagram. You get all of Carrie. You get sometimes work stuff. You get my family, fun thoughts that I think about. You can go to our website at careerframe.com, and that's all the information of what we do as far as executive coaching, one-on-ones, team dynamic stuff. If you're listening and you're like, oh my gosh, we need Carrie in our organization, then go look, pass it along to your leader. I'd love to have the conversation. Like I said, we do a lot of team building workshops. We help people with their strengths, with emotional intelligence, with adaptive leadership, with alignment. If we've got a dysfunctional team, we work with them on that. And then, of course, I'm on LinkedIn. So I would say if anyone wants to connect on LinkedIn, I just always ask that you let me know that you heard me on this podcast, because that way I will accept your invite. You can follow me on LinkedIn as well.
Amazing. Well, I'm so excited to continue on in your journey. I am excited to read your book. Just a reminder, you guys, again, in the show notes, first 2 chapters for free. And then also I'll include the link so you can purchase and continue on and let Carrie become your new mentor as we continue on in this wonderful thing we call life. But thank you again, Carrie, so much. This has been so inspirational.
Absolutely.
Honestly, it's like the energy I think I needed today. I was feeling so blah before this, and now I'm feeling like inspired and energized. So on a person. Of course. And thank you all so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedules to listen to this week's episode of the Working Moms Playbook. As usual, you can expect to hear another episode from us next week on Wednesday. And until then, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this episode of the Working Moms Playbook. And also, thank you so much for sharing this episode with any and every working mom who might benefit. Also, thank you for subscribing. It means so much to be able to continue to grow this village of working moms in a world where our villages can feel fairly small. Keep an eye out for next week's episode, always debuting on a Wednesday, and I can't wait to see you there.